So my ratio of model kits bought versus model kits built this year has been pretty low. I think I've built 4 or 5, mostly from the Gundam Wing series. But I've bought quite a few others that I never got around to building. I still have the Endless Waltz style Gundam Shenlong. I still have the Turn X. Hell, I've still got the Unicorn Gundam that I bought in Vancouver a year and a half ago, sitting in box. I think there's probably even 1 or 2 others in there that I can't think of off the top of my head. But on the upside, Bandai, their output of master grade kits has actually been pretty low also for the past year. I don't know if it's been because they've been focusing so heavily on real grade, which I don't think they even have, or the high grade series, because I think there's only been like 2 real grades this year, and probably half the output of real grade stuff this year. But same deal, normally there's a new master grade kit about every month. An average of about 10 to 11 every year so far this year, and we're nearing the end, and I'm not seeing much on the horizon. I think there's only been like 6 this year, which is a huge bummer for me because I love the master grade line. Even if I don't get to build as many of them as I would like, I still love them a lot. I love seeing the evolution of them from the first RX-78 back in '95 through the version 3.0, which, while I wasn't crazy about it, you can't deny the engineering of it. And Bandai's engineering has come so far. And they've decided, I think part of the reason why their output has decreased so much is because they launched a new model kit series of sci-fi subjects just this past year called Sprukits, Sprukits. I'm not sure if they're being marketed in Japan, but I've been seeing them popping up at toy stores all over North America. I've seen them when I was back home in Victoria, in Vancouver, here in Edmonton, online stores all over the place. They got quite an assortment of licenses, including Halo and Batman and 2 or 3 others that escape me at the moment. But the one that I haven't heard much about, but I was eager to check out, was from their Batman line. This is their level 3 skilled advanced level Batman from the Arkham City game. I didn't even know this was a thing. I knew there was a level 3 kit of Master Chief from Halo. I'm not sure which game he was based on. Probably 3. But yeah, it was just in Toys R Us yesterday, maybe. It might have been Thursday. I forget. And I'm looking through the model kit aisle, and I see this staring at me. I'm like, hey, I need to buy that. So I did. $59.99. 161 pieces. Says fully detailed, but let's take a closer look. So the box art is similar style to the standard from what I've seen of their other sprue kits. This very bold white on blue with some callouts, rendering of the character from the video game, which, if you ask me, Arkham City is the best Batman game I've ever played. Some will argue Asylum is better, but I was crazy about Arkham City. I played that game far more than I ever did Arkham Asylum. I like this shot right here. This is an exploded view of the model. You can see all the... sorry, getting it all centered in frame. You can see all the pieces that go into the assembly of it, all in a really neat exploded view, so you can get a really neat idea of how it goes together. And then the bottom, there's some action poses. It says, realistic result. Posable figure model kit. Designed in Japan. How about that? Says you need no scissors, though I will obviously be using a handy set of clippers. No paint and no glue. ages 8 and up. Sides have the usual warnings and cautions and whatnot. Box back copies a lot of the box art from the front. There's the same rendering of the character from the game, and the same exploded view of the model, but you can see here there's a finished assembled rendering, as well as the same 4 posed shots, but also some closer up action detail shots. You can see like the knee here, elbow, see the bat emblem on the chest. Easy to follow instructions. Basically, it's an advanced model kit, but marketed towards, you know, relative novices. I wouldn't put this anywhere near the level of, say, a Tamiya kit, or even a master grade kit, just from looking at the box. But we've only looked at the box. Let's take a look at the contents of the box. All right. First up, we've got clearly some joint parts molded in ABS. This is probably like a mid-torso ball joint, probably the frame for the center of the torso, hip parts, shoulder parts. Tough to say. Actually, no, this is probably the waist insert, because waist ball joint and then a hinge for the hips. But yeah, I'm figuring this is probably for the frame for the central torso. Some metallic gold pieces for the utility belt. Nicely molded. Hollow on the backside, not surprisingly, but I imagine it would snap fairly snugly to the torso, so there wouldn't really be any visible backing. But yeah, it's got some nice molding to it. The usual kind of weird swirl you get in this kind of metallic plastic, so it looks very plasticky. I would personally prefer to paint it using more of a flat gold, or even just a yellow, but it looks good to me. We got some armor parts. Oh, we got a big batarang right there. Always love the big batarang. I love the design of the batarangs, actually, from the Arkham games. I'm guessing these are shin gauntlets. They're actually about to pop loose. Actually, I'm noticing a lot of these parts are either coming loose or have come loose. There's one missing right here. These sprue attachment points are actually really, really tiny. I think that's what they intended on the front of the box. It says no scissors needed. So you can just snap them off like super easy. So yeah, there's that fine line you tread between making them snap off the runner really easily, but also how do you keep them from falling off just in shipping? And I think Bandai treaded that line a little bit too closely. This is, I'm sure, not the only time we're going to come across that in this kit. But the detail looks really good. I mean, you got half of the forearm gauntlets with the iconic fins. The grapnel gun with big claw as a separate component. Not sure what this is supposed to be. I'm guessing it's obviously some sort of other weapon or accessory for him, but Batman's always got so many gadgets, it's hard to tell what one is versus the next one. Here we got a little slip that just came in one of the bags, and printed in multiple languages. It says, "Keep pieces on sprue until needed." That's a piece of advice a lot of beginning modelers really need. More than a couple of times I've met new modelers who were told that they were turned off of modeling because they didn't know that you weren't supposed to do that. First up, good old Bat's face. Molded in flesh tone, kind of. The detail is fine, but it could use a little bit of highlighting or shading to it, which obviously you can't do in plastic, but it's got the good, strong, cleft chin and quite the scowl on his face. I really like that a lot. But But yeah, I think it could really do with a little bit of paint to bring out the details. We got a polycap set. This is PCA02, copyright dated 2014, so this is a very new set, probably designed specifically for these kits. I'm not recognizing it at all. Lots of ball joints, lots of socket joints, lots of neat hinges, just some bushings and sleeves and whatnot. We got our hand set. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of hands, presumably 3 rights and 2 lefts. I'm guessing these are parts of the forearm that the gauntlet with the fin blades attaches to. I really like the design of Batman's hands, the gloves in this game. Like the big knobs on the knuckles, like those look like they could really do a lot of damage. Like a good shot to the jaw, like they look like they're really solid. I really dig that. And the big splayed open hands, I really like that as well. I like it when they do that as a left, because you got your left hand as you're like reaching back to fling a batarang, or you got holding some guy up, or like cursing the heavens or something. We got some more some torso parts. I think this is the collar. This is obviously the cowl. That I actually really like that detail. Got a big, nicely defined scowl to the forehead. Really matches the look on the face. I think it was probably based on the cowl from Batman Begins from the Dark Knight trilogy, which had like a really intense scowl on its face. There's a separate piece here for the eyes. I would imagine there must be stickers for it because they're molded in black. So you could either paint or apply stickers to get that white effect. Whether or not, I haven't gotten to the sticker set yet in here, so I don't know if they would offer you just plain white eyes or eyes with pupils or both. I'm guessing these are parts for the cape on the shoulders. You got your codpiece here, boots, feet parts, some hinges here and there, some kind of flap, maybe is like an armor part for on an ankle. Oh, and there'd be the chest bat. I actually really like that a lot. That chest bat looks really cool. We got more of the gray, the sort of matte gray parts. Obviously, you've got the chest with the space for the bat emblem, the back, abs, big shoulders, big forearms and thighs, elbow components, I think. Lots of good detail in here. If you look, like where the musculature, where the muscle chest is defined, like there's these recessed lines deep inside it as well. Like there's etched lines all over the chest and back, and all over the suit. That's actually one of the things I really like about this version of the bat suit, is like all these etched in lines. They look really cool. And in both games, I haven't played Arkham Origins, but in Asylum and Arkham City, there's persistent damage to the bat suit, and I always liked that. And I think doing that to the kit would actually be really cool. Though it might be difficult, but it would be really cool. But it would be difficult. But it'd be really cool. I'm actually really anxious to get building this. I might get started on it right away. And finally, we got our last runner of parts. We got these are actually the thighs and the hip joint assemblies, as well as a display base. I didn't realize this came with one. I'm guessing this is probably a generic base that comes with a lot of their kits, because it's system injected to this second section. So they probably have this in green or black for Master Chief, or in any number of other colors for one of their other model lines. But yeah, I'm really digging this so far. I'm really liking the looks of it. And that's one question answered. Does this Batman have eyes, or are they just white? Well, yes, he has proper eyes. Though, if you wanted a more comic or animation accurate version, you could very easily just paint over the eye parts. But these do have the eyeliner around them, which is pretty cool. And lastly, he has a cloth cape. I was really hoping that he would. It's a bit small. Normally Batman's cape is much broader because it has to unfold out into wings. So it's very narrow at the shoulders. Obviously you can see it flares out quite a bit at the bottom, but I would have expected it to be much wider and more of like a semicircular shape. Like I remember when I was in high school, I made a really awful Darth Vader costume, but I made like a big half circle cape that wrapped up and over my shoulders, and that's the kind of thing I would have expected from a Batman cape. So this is actually a little bit disappointing just in the size, but it does have plastic cape parts for over the shoulders, so that I guess that's probably enough to make up the difference. So I'm hoping that this turns out all right. And finally, we've got our instructions. Same rendered picture of Batman as on the box. Full color instructions. You got your call outs. It's color codes. I really like that. I really like the way they do that. I wish more model kits would do that. So you got your color codes. It tells you which runners and which parts of which runners are used for which step. That is a super cool idea. In fact, it looks like that's something I didn't notice. The runners themselves actually have this little logo in the corner. You can see that's the shape of a boot. There's another one on the face that has the shape of a head. So, and there's one here on the hands that has the shape of a hand. So each runner has a logo on it indicating where those parts go. That's a really neat idea. Kind of takes the guesswork out of it, makes it a little too simple, I think. Coming from me as an advanced modeler, but you know, for beginners, I think this would be an absolutely indispensable, really neat thing for them to have for the instructions. But anyway, so carrying on the instructions, it starts with the head, and then the torso, and then the arms, it looks like. Moving down to the legs, and then finishing off the legs, and then the lower waist, which I always thought that was weird about Bandai kits, is why don't they either start at the top and go to the bottom, or start at the bottom and go to the top? So like you've got the torso and arms and head, and then the legs, and then you got to wait to do the midsection before you can actually put it together. I don't know, it seems super weird to me. But and then finally you've got the instructions for the cape, and then assembly of the display base and how to attach it. And it looks like the socket actually plugs directly into his utility belt. One of the segments pops off, and it actually has a little slot on the base. That's a really neat idea. I'm really excited about this. I'm actually really hyped about this. I was hyped from the minute I saw this thing, but now having it open and having a look at it, the engineering of this thing looks really cool. It actually reminds me a lot of their Master Grade Figure Eyes series. I never built any of them, but I took a close look at some photo reviews of their Goku, and I think they did 2 versions of Goku actually, and a bunch of Kamen Rider stuff. If you're not familiar with Kamen Rider, it's similar to Sentai, masked hero, Japanese hero type stuff. They tried to bring it over to North America back in like '95 as Masked Rider, and that failed miserably. But I imagine they used a lot of the same type of engineering in this, and they've been doing that MG Figure Eyes series for about 5 years or so. So they've got some experience under their belt, and it shows just from looking at the instructions, looking at the parts breakdown. I really think this is going to be a good kit. As I said, I am apprehensive about the design of the cape. Not crazy about the idea of the big plastic shoulder pads and just the little fabric, but you know, soft goods like this are expensive. It's and hard to produce and hard to maintain quality control. Not to mention, you can't make fabric at this scale look right. So it just doesn't scale down correctly. Like even what they did use, like you can see there's a lot of texture on that. This is a really coarse fabric. Now, I mean, obviously, if they were going to use something that was more scale appropriate, that it would be far more expensive. We'd be talking something like silk, which would drive the cost up by probably about 5 times the price. So obviously, yeah, they're just using this cheap, probably some kind of polyester or plastic fabric weave. But you know, I'm hopeful that that aside from the cape, I'm hopeful that the cape is going to turn out looking really good. But aside from that, I'm hoping that the rest of the kit turns out really fantastic. So I'm going to get started on that probably tomorrow. I don't have much going on tomorrow. I'm probably going to go see that new Chris Nolan movie, Interstellar. I was going to go see it today, and then snow happened. So yeah, obviously couldn't do that. Because the nearest movie theater is in the city, and I live out in the sticks a little bit. But yeah, so I'm gonna probably do that tomorrow, because I don't think I'll be back at work for a few days. And if I have time, if I'm not back at work by the middle of this week, then I'll try and do a build-up, not a build-up review, but like an assembled kit review. Because I think this is going to deserve it. I'm really quite excited to get to show this thing off. I'm really, if I'm sold on this thing, I might have to go ahead and get that Series 3 Master Chief too, and rub it in Too Old for Toys' face, because he told me how much he wanted one, but he couldn't because the shipping would just ruin him from here to Hong Kong. So. Oh god, I came this close to buying it, but I saw it before I saw this. But then as soon as I saw this, I'm like, nope, Chief, you can stay right there. I'm buying Bruce Wayne. And now I want to play Arkham City again. I'm rambling. I do that, as you no doubt well know. So, since I'm laid off, or might be laid off, or might be working sporadically over the next little bit, I'm going to try and keep producing a little bit of content every now and then. So that's about all I've really got to say about this. I'm going to hopefully try and get some more content out over the rest of this year. If I am in fact laid off for the rest of the season, I probably won't be back at work until January, February, if that's the case. I hope not. Last year I was able to keep working pretty much all through the winter, save for short periods of time here and there. But if I am off work, then I'll try and knock out a video or so about every week. If not, then I'll put out a video whenever I have time. If I have anything to review, of course, that is. Or just even vlogging or whatever. I still have a couple of ideas for other, long-form vlogs I've been wanting to do for a while, but kind of need to think about it a lot before I do that. That said, I'll try and get this up tonight. I've had to borrow my laptop for my media center, so I'm going to have to borrow it back so I can edit this. That's always fun. But yeah, thanks everyone out there for watching, and it's nice to be able to actually sign off with my proper catchphrase, happy modeling.